been a while since I've sat down in front of this camera, but we've finally gotten moved, and man, do we have a lot to talk about. So let's get back into automating the boring stuff. Welcome back to SlackerLabs. My name is Jeff. As you may already know, we bought a new house. In fact, if you can tell from my background, I haven't quite got this space set up yet, and I definitely haven't got the sound dialed in yet. But this house has tons of potential, 2 acres in fact, which is plenty of space to build my wife a pottery studio and lots of boring stuff to automate. Because for those of you that don't know, my wife is a potter, and pottery eats space faster than 4K 10-bit video, so the extra space is going to be nice. Plus, it's going to be nice to have the extra space to record these videos instead of being stuck in the corner of a bedroom. I had shot some content prior to actually moving that I meant to have out during the move, but in that frantic last week, never found time to get it edited, so I decided to incorporate some of those ideas into this video. Anyway, we finally started to find our routine in this new house, and I've been anxious to get started with Home Assistant. In fact, I've already started playing around a bit. So let's talk about what's next for this smart home. I've said on more than one occasion that when you build a smart home, you should plan for the future, and that includes moving. And for me, the decision to leave the Z-Wave switches behind was always part of that plan. And in the end, it turned out to be a lifesaver because I simply ran out of time. I also left all of my ecobee room sensors that are attached to the ecobee thermostat and left my MyQ hub attached to the garage door. I considered leaving a SmartThings hub or a Home Assistant instance behind so that all of that smart home tech could stay connected, but in the end decided I would leave that smart home decision up to the new buyers, and instead left a document behind talking about which switches were smart and how to pair them with the various smart home platforms. The transfer of all this smart home tech does bring me to that house email account you've heard me talk about before. There was an idea that I could attach all of the smart home tech and services to a house email account, and when it came time to sell the house, could just turn over that email account to the new buyers. But after taking stock of what smart home tech was staying with the house and what was coming with us, there was simply too many services to remove off of that email account to make leaving that email account worth it. So the biggest benefit of that email account wasn't an easy transfer of those services to a new owner, but by separating my personal details from those services. So any of the tech that got left behind doesn't have anything that could be linked back to me. Which may become important because any service or device you leave behind could contain traces of whatever account was attached to it. So that's something you need to consider if you're going to be leaving some smart home tech behind for the new owners. For the MyQ hub and the ecobee thermostat, I simply reset those devices back to the factory settings. At least the ecobee thermostat provides an easy way to do that. With those decisions made, I turned my attention to breaking down Home Assistant. I started removing all of the devices and integrations, although after a while I stopped and decided to keep some of my integrations attached to Home Assistant, just because I didn't want to have to go through the hassle of setting those all up from the beginning when all I needed to do was change a couple of settings in each of those integrations. I did remove all of my Zigbee devices because I didn't want to have to label each of those devices and then remember which room or location they should go in. This way I can start over fresh with my Zigbee network and add devices as I need them. I did remove all of my automations and scripts and most of my packages so that I could start fresh and build some new automations for the new house. Like I said, I did leave some of the integrations and especially some of the hacks integrations that rely on cloud services, since those are not going to be changing. Which brings me to a question. Why doesn't Home Assistant have an easy reset option that would factory reset Home Assistant back to where it was when it first booted? As it is, it looks like you would have to format and reinstall Home Assistant if you wanted to get back to that state. And I could see now how that would be really handy for someone who wants to start over fresh or someone who's moving. Anyway, the idea with the new house is to start over from the beginning with all of my devices and automations, and make videos as I go, which should give me a chance to streamline those automations, leveraging some of those lessons learned over 6+ years of using Home Assistant. For now, I plan on sticking with the Home Assistant Blue for the foundation of my smart home because it's the quickest path to getting set up. but I do have a Home Assistant Yellow that I plan on setting up and using as well, and may migrate to that in the future. I toyed around with moving to something beefier for that foundation, but in my 6+ years really haven't found a use case that made me think I needed more power than the Home Assistant Blue, Home Assistant Yellow, or even a Raspberry Pi 4 could give me. I'm still on the fence as to whether I'm going to go with Z-Wave, Lutron Caseta, or Shelly devices for my light switches. I do like the fact that I can connect the Lutron switches to multiple smart home platforms at the same time, which allows me to have an easy backup in case one of those smart home platforms goes down, while keeping the communication between those devices and Home Assistant completely local. But those Lutron switches do come with a premium price, so I suspect it will continue to be a mix of Z-Wave, Lutron, and Shelly devices. And I will no doubt be keeping both Z-Wave and Zigbee support in my smart home. I don't like having all of my tech on one protocol, and I want to keep the communication between my smart home tech and Home Assistant as local as possible, and Z-Wave and Zigbee allow me to do that. I will, however, continue to keep the Z-Wave and Zigbee radios separate, instead of combining them into one USB stick, which I had considered doing with this move, because I do like keeping my smart home as modular as possible. Zigbee to MQTT will continue to be my Zigbee integration of choice. I find it's easier to add device support to the Zigbee to MQTT project versus ZHA, but that could be a product of what I know versus what I don't know. Plus, since I've contributed to the Zigbee to MQTT project, I feel like I have a deeper connection there, or at least I want to continue supporting it. I do plan on minimizing the Wi-Fi devices on my network as much as possible, because I did start to see some degradation in network performance due to the number of devices. However, I did upgrade my network to the new Aero 6 routers, so maybe that will help a bit. And my guiding principle remains automation first. I've always preferred the idea that my smart home would work completely automated, and guests wouldn't have to worry about light switches at all because the lights and the house would just operate as needed. But I will continue to not disrupt the physical controls and add voice commands for the exceptions. I already know there's going to be some light switches that get removed simply because of usability. This house was built in the mid-70s, and so light switch placement wasn't really built around usability. So in some cases, it simply doesn't make any sense to continue to use the light switches on the wall when automation can make that much more usable. In any case, the plan is to get deeper in each of those topics in the future. One of the biggest regrets I have with SlackerLabs is I didn't plan a smart home journey when I started the channel. I just started recording videos and throwing random things up. I had considered completely starting over so that I could build that smart home journey with you, but opted, as I've already mentioned, to not completely start over. So I suspect that videos in the future will continue to jump around a bit. After all, taking on this move meant that I got behind on some of my sponsored videos. I know, sponsored videos are not real popular, but I can assure you I only choose products that I think will integrate with Home Assistant or that I could automate in some way with Home Assistant. And so with all of that, I do have a couple of sponsored videos that are coming up in the future. First, I have a video that I need to do on this Echo Z robot vacuum, which I think is going to be a local only option, and we definitely need more of those with Home Assistant. I will also be talking about these recessed lighting retrofit kits from Lumary. I was going to do a video on these lights prior to moving, but since the new house had recessed lighting, decided to hold off and do the video here instead of having to install the lights and then remove them. And I'm really glad I did, because the kitchen here only has one light switch that powers 10 of these recessed lights. But you can enter the kitchen from 2 different ways, which means that if you enter the way without the light switch, then you're out of luck. I'm hoping to use these Tuya-based lights along with some automation in Home Assistant to make that kitchen much more usable in terms of the lights. I'll also do a video on this sewn-off panel, which I know you've seen before. This was another one that I was going to do prior to moving, but decided to hold off because I would rather not have to install it and then remove it for the move. And I have quite a few sensors that have been sent to me from Third Reality and Aqara that I plan on doing videos on as well as I go through and set up my smart home. But my hope for this channel going forward is to continue to do videos showing you how to automate the boring stuff using smart home tech. And this move will allow me to do those videos from the perspective of if I had to do it all over again, how would I do it? So I expect videos on a better Jarvis, on building a security system, Z-Wave, Zigbee devices, and even presence detection, which all have to be set up again. I suspect it will look a lot like the older version, but I hope that the logic and the configuration will be streamlined and a little easier to follow. I haven't quite decided on how I'm going to handle GitHub yet with my Home Assistant configuration, although as of right now I'm leaning towards creating a new repo for the new configuration and not touching my old one, so that it can be there for anyone who stumbles across the older videos and wants to see what that configuration looked like. I know I haven't been all that accessible throughout this move, but now that we're finally settling back into a routine, I'm hoping to get back into a more consistent schedule for the videos. I want to thank each and every one of you for being part of this journey and sticking around with me through this move. I know quite a few of you have hit me up on Discord and have sent me emails, and I hope to get back to responding to each of you this week. Also, please keep the suggestions for future videos coming. I can't promise that I can do all of them, but I try to work them in when I can. And that's it for this video. But before we go, I want to give a shout out to Orchard. This video is not sponsored by Orchard, and I'm not affiliated with Orchard in any way. But their Move First program was instrumental in allowing us to do this move. With Orchard's Move First program, Orchard gave us a guaranteed offer on our old house, which gave us the cash we needed to buy this house, all prior to moving. Then we were able to buy this house, get moved and settled, and Orchard will handle marketing and selling our old home, and if it sells for more than their guaranteed offer, we get that cash as well. Again, I'm not affiliated with Orchard, but if you're looking to move and you're dreading having to deal with the whole buying and selling at the same time, you might check out Orchard's Move First program, especially if Orchard operates in the market you're in. And if you're in the Atlanta market, ask for Courtney Jones. She is absolutely amazing and helped us through this process. I'll leave some links in the description in case you're interested and want to check out what they could do for you. Again, they're not sponsoring this video and I'm not affiliated with them. I just really liked their Move First program and it worked really well for us. If you do want to click some affiliate links and support SlackerLabs and the mission to help you automate the boring stuff, you can find those links as well as a link to the official SlackerLabs t-shirt store and a link to buy me a coffee if you so choose in the description of this video. Or just let me know that you found value in this video by hitting that like button. And consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already for more smart home content like this. As always, thanks for taking time out of your home automation projects to watch mine. Until next time, I've got to get back to automating some boring stuff.